Once upon a time, in a land filled with green meadows and tall, shimmering castles, lived a poor miller, and his beautiful daughter. The miller, trying to impress the king, made a wild boast. He told the king, "Your Majesty, my daughter is so talented, she can spin straw into gold." "Is that so?" he said. "Bring her to my castle tomorrow, and we shall see if what you say is true." The next day, the miller's daughter was brought before the king. He led her to a small room filled from floor to ceiling with straw. On a small stool sat a spinning wheel. "Now," the king commanded, "spin all this straw into gold by morning. If you do, I will make you my queen. But if you fail, you will be banished from the kingdom forever." With that, the king locked the door, leaving the poor girl all alone. The miller's daughter sat down and began to cry. How could she possibly spin straw into gold? It was an impossible task. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and a strange little man hobbled into the room. He had a long pointy beard and wore a funny hat with a feather. "Why are you weeping, miller's daughter?" he asked in a squeaky voice. She told him about the king's impossible demand. The little man grinned. "What will you give me?" he asked. "If I spin the straw into gold for you?" "I will give you my necklace," she replied quickly. The little man took the necklace, sat down at the spinning wheel, and whir, 3 times round, and the bobbin was full of gold. He worked all through the night, and by sunrise every last piece of straw had been turned into gleaming golden thread. When the king returned in the morning, his jaw dropped in amazement. He was thrilled, but also greedy. He led the miller's daughter to an even larger room, filled with even more straw. "Spin this into gold by morning," he ordered, "and your reward will be great." Once again, the girl was left alone and began to cry, and once again, the strange little man appeared. "What will you give me this time?" he chirped. "I will give you the ring from my finger," she said. The little man took the ring and set to work. Whir, 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 and by morning the room was filled with shimmering gold. The king was overjoyed, but his greed knew no bounds. He took the girl to the largest hall in the castle, piled high with mountains of straw. "Spin this all into gold by morning," he declared, "and I promise you shall become my queen." For the 3rd time, the girl was left alone, with no idea what to do, and for the 3rd time, the little man appeared. "I will help you one last time," he said. "But what will you give me now? You have nothing left." The girl didn't know what to offer. The little man thought for a moment and then said, "Promise me, when you are queen, you will give me your firstborn child." The miller's daughter, thinking she might never even become queen, and desperate to save herself, agreed. The little man spun all night, and by morning the hall glittered with more gold than anyone had ever seen. True to his word, the king married the miller's daughter, and she became the queen. A year later, a beautiful baby was born, and the queen was happier than she had ever been. She had completely forgotten about her promise to the little man. But one day, he suddenly appeared in her chamber. "I have come for what you promised me," he said. The queen was horrified. She offered him all the riches in the kingdom, all the jewels and gold, if he would only let her keep her child. The little man saw her tears and felt a tiny bit of pity. "All right," he said. "I will give you a chance. You have 3 days. If you can guess my name within those 3 days, you may keep your child." The queen agreed and immediately sent messengers across the whole kingdom to collect every name they could find. On the first day, the little man returned. The queen listed all the common names she knew. "Is your name Casper? Melk Baltasar?" "Baltasar, with Achname." The little man shook his head and sang, "That is not my name." On the second day, she tried all the unusual and peculiar names her messengers had found. "Is it perhaps Sheepshanks, Creekshanks, Spindleshanks?" But again, he just shook his head and smiled. "That is not my name." The queen was beginning to lose all hope, but on the evening of the second day, one of her messengers returned from deep in the woods with a strange story. He said, "As I came to a high mountain, I saw a ridiculous little man hopping on one foot around a fire, and he was singing a song. The messenger cleared his throat and sang the little man's tune. Today I brew, tomorrow I bake, the next I'll have the young queen's baby. Oh, lucky me, for no one knows that Rumpelstiltskin is my name." You can imagine the queen's joy. When the little man arrived on the third and final day, he was very smug. "Well, your majesty," he chirped, "what is my name?" The queen pretended to think. "Is your name Conrad?" she asked. "No," he cackled. "Is your name Heinz?" "No." He laughed louder. Then the queen said with a smile, "Is your name?" Rumpelstiltskin, the little man, froze. His face turned red with rage. "The wizard told you! The wizard told you!" he shrieked. He was so furious that he stomped his right foot on the ground, and it went in so deep that he was stuck. Then he grabbed his left foot with both hands and, in his anger, he tore himself in two. And that was the end of this strange little man named Rumpelstiltskin. The queen, her baby safe in her arms, never had to worry about him again. And they lived happily ever after. Thanks for watching our story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fairy tales.